Hey guys, and welcome back once again to I Like Watches. On my wrist I have the Escapement Time dress watch. This is the 40mm version and it is undoubtedly one of the best value for money watches you've ever been able to buy from AliExpress. This thing is incredible, sold in huge numbers, and I am genuinely not at all surprised. The finishing on the case is actually very nice. Lovely leather strap, sapphire crystal, beautifully cut hands, very pretty dial, screw down crown, screw down case back, 50 meters of water resistance, and to top it all off, Seiko VH31 quartz movement with 4 ticks per second, which means no issues with the second hand hitting or missing the minute markers. All that for £75. They don't reduce these during the AliExpress sale because they know they are already priced rock bottom. Incredible value. So you can imagine my surprise when a viewer got in touch and said, have you seen the new Chameri? It looks a lot like the Escapement Time dress watch, almost identical specifications, and they only want $57. I have to see it for myself. So I bought one, and here it is. And in this video, I'm going to take a look at it for the very first time, share with you my first impressions, and then do a little mini comparison with the Escapement Time, because I'm curious to see how similar or different are they, and, well, if they're very similar, at $57, this thing is going to represent insane value for money. So yeah, let's get into it. Right, here it is then. Let's take a look at this Chameri. Am I opening this the right way up? Oh, maybe there is a top and a bottom. Weird box. Okay, let's try it this way up. There we go. Chameri. International guarantee. Oh, it's filled in. Nice. Very cool. Bit of protection there, look. There is the watch. Nothing else in the box. Fairly simple. Box does the job. Right, I'm going to get the plastic off. I'll be back in a mo. Right, there we go. I have removed a couple of pieces of plastic, and just by looking at the case back, I think the conclusion is going to be it's basically the same watch, which would be a fantastic result because obviously it would mean you're essentially able to get the Escapement Time dress watch or an equivalent watch as good as for 25% less. It does look very, very similar. There is the seconds hand beating away 4 times every second. It looks very nicely finished. The polishing seems, yeah, decent enough. There is the buckle. It's not signed, but the strap looks good enough. It's probably not the ideal strap for it. I think you probably would swap out the strap. But yes, it's looking very, very positive, isn't it? What about the crown? That is a screw-down crown. Screw down case back, screw down crown. Yeah, I mean, it's looking identical. Let's bring in the Escapement Time. Wow. Let's get some tools out and test the crystal, weigh them, check the dimensions, and then, yeah, we'll have a good look at these two side by side. Let's start with some dimensions. Thickness, 9.9. Oh, 9.6. Let me check that again. Yeah, 9.9. Maybe it's a different crystal. We'll check that in a moment. Diameter, 39.9. Yep, 39.9. Case length for the Escapement Time, just under 46. And for the Chameri, just under 46. 20mm lug width, 20mm lug width. 6mm crown, that is signed, that is the Escapement Time crown. 6mm crown on the Chameri, unsigned. Now, interestingly, the Chameri on the right is a little bit thicker, and it looks like that thickness is in the case back, but also the bezel. The crystals look identical. They seem to sit pretty much the same inside the bezels. But yeah, it does look like the case backs are fractionally different, as are those bezels. Right, let's get the scales on and get the diamond selector 2 warming up. The Chameri weighs just short of 58 grams, and the Escapement Time weighs Okay, a little bit less, just over 53 grams. Right, let's check the crystal on the Chameri. That is sapphire. Nice reading. And on the Escapement Time, yep, sapphire again. So definitely 2 pieces of sapphire crystal. The straps are definitely different, and the buckles are different. I do prefer the strap that's come on the Escapement Time. It does feel softer, more supple. I do prefer this textured look over the sort of more old school faux croc print. It's fairly stiff strap as well. It's yeah, it seems fairly well padded at the top here, but yeah, I do prefer the strap on the Escapement Time, so that's definitely a win for the Escapement Time. And there is both of the movements, both say VH31A, Japan, 2 jewels as well. Yeah, identical movements seemingly, and the movement holders are plastic, slightly different, but doing exactly the same job. Interestingly, the back of the case, where the case back would sit and thread into the case, looks different. So it does look like these are not necessarily identical cases or watches. There are some very subtle differences. Yeah, that's interesting. And while we're zoomed in, I'm going to hold the crowns close to each other, and again, they do look slightly different, don't they? So it's looking more and more like the Chameri is not a carbon copy. It's not just a rebranded Escapement Time. It is actually a different watch, just not very different at all. Very, very similar. Very similar. Another very small and subtle detail that shows they're not identical cases is the ends of the lugs. They are slightly different shapes, slightly different sizes, very, very similar, but yes, they are actually different. I'm going to weigh the case backs as well. I'm curious to see if there is any difference there. The Escapement Time is 7.81, and the Chameri, yeah, definitely thicker, 9.49, so another indicator that it's not a carbon copy. Looking at the case backs like this, they do also look a little bit different. It's subtle, but they are different. Right, let's finish off by looking at the dials and the hands. They look very, very similar, don't they? The print on the dial is definitely different. You can see that with the word quartz. The indices look pretty much identical, I think, as do the hands. They seem to reach out pretty much as far as each other. The seconds hands seem very similar in shape and design. Obviously the Chameri has a blued seconds hand, which you can get on the similar coloured dial with the Escapement Time. Something I have noticed is the dial on the Chameri seems to sit lower than the dial on the Escapement Time. I guess that's a consequence of the Chameri just being fractionally thicker, but you can see that steel brushed rehow ring on the inside. It's basically the inside of the bezel that runs around the outside of the dial is definitely taller on the Chameri on the right, isn't it? But not too obvious. Well, after seeing all that, I'm actually very surprised. I really was expecting the Chameri to be a rebranded Escapement Time watch, but it doesn't look like it is. There are some very subtle differences, and actually not many identical elements to these watches. The hands look very, very similar. The applied indices look very, very similar. The crystal looks similar, but different case back, different crown, seemingly a different case, different straps, different buckles, same movements, of course, but very, very similar watches. And, well, quite a big price difference. 25% roughly difference. The Chameri is 25% less. Is the Escapement Time worth 25% more because you're getting a slightly slimmer watch with a signed crown and a better strap? Yeah, maybe it is. But oh, you also get more options, of course, with the Escapement Time. But the Chameri is just insane value for money. all those specifications and that movement and that finishing as well seems pretty good. For $57, that is, well, just ridiculous, isn't it? Wow. Right, guys, let me know what you think of these watches and the review in the comments section. And yeah, thanks ever so much for watching. Take care, look after yourselves. You'll see me again very, very soon.